Achidi. Hey, everybody. Ooh, well, that look a little blurry. Oh, okay, that's why. So I'm gonna finish these. We're gonna end the ramble today. It's backwards, but in the thumbnail, it put it correct. So I was talking about the shadow, the moon. When the moon shone, we did not see the candle. So doth the greater glory dim the less. All the mean median mode stuff. That may or may not resonate. I don't know why I want to shuffle these. Mars is in Gemini now. I want to get a card for Mars in Pisces. It's this one. Mars in Aries is this one. Mars in Taurus is this one. Mars in Gemini will be this one. I'm just curious. Bottom of the deck is Dare to Dream. I like that energy when it comes to Mars because Mars will be the energy that makes it real. You know, if you want to realize a dream, you need some Mars to make it happen. So Mars in Pisces was released. I haven't seen this card since I first got this deck. Mars in Pisces was released. Let's see what all this is first, because I'm confused. Mars in Aries was nature. I mean, that's a natural place for Mars to be. Mars in Taurus has been manifest. Mars in Gemini is going to be the observer. Release, nature, manifest. It speaks of, it's like to realize something, first you release it into that cosmos or the etheric space. In nature, it's an energy of aligning ourselves to it after it's been released. Manifest with Mars and Taurus is when it's coming back to be accepted. The observer, Mars and Gemini, it's how it's going to play out. I guess. I don't know if that was weird. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing today. Today is like, I guess it's a break day. I've been playing video games today. I've been live today. I've been watching videos today. I did still do some of the stuff that I'm doing. But anyway, it says March Hackham comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb. And it says, note, Hackham comes from Hackend, which meant annoying in Middle English. I don't understand this. March Hackham comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb. Well, I would say, lion is Leo, the lamb is Virgo. Those are the summer months, right before autumn, Libra. But there's like winter, spring, and summer all in this month. Maybe that's why it's annoying. Because if you live in a part of the world where you experience multiple seasons all in one day, depending, then we're entering that season where things are less predictable and more likely, like you're more likely to experience like a Neapolitan sort of feeling. And talking about Mars as it's gone from Pisces to Aries to Taurus, now it's in Gemini. It's like when it's cold outside, you want it to be warmer. If it's hot outside, you want it to be cooler. It's not too long that it's going to be in that perfect sort of in between. But even in that perfect in between, if you got allergies, then you got allergies to worry about. Well, everything is like blooming, right? And so there is a little bit of a need to kind of sort of be satisfied where we are or to take the season for what it is. To at least find the things that we have to appreciate or that we have to do in the season that we're in. Because after today, when it becomes tomorrow, we're going to wish we could go back to yesterday to do something differently. I don't know. That one's weird. Texas. So March 2nd was Texas Independence Day, the day we stole Texas from Mexico, I guess. I don't know. Also, Town Meeting Day in Vermont. The single white star on the Lone Star flag of Texas represents unity for God, state, and country. The star also once stood for defiance and independence, harking back to the 1830s when the region fought for its freedom from Mexico. So, yeah, the day we stole Texas. Well, maybe we ain't steal it, but. And that's the wild thing. That's the crazy thing about places like Texas. Because it's like there could be some places in Texas. There could be some places in Texas. It's like, you hear people be like, oh, if you don't like it, go back to your own country. But like there are places and I mean every single place in this country used to belong to somebody else. Is that true of all ends? Probably. But it's like one of those things where like Texas used to be Mexico. So there could be people who have always been in the area. Also, for some reason, I was thinking the other day because the chief of one of the Cherokee tribes or the chief of the Cherokee tribe, I'm ignorant. I don't know if it's one tribe or if there are multiple sort of like chiefs of the tribe, like how it's all like one tribe, but if there are different like branches or sections of the tribe, I don't know. But it was trending on Twitter, and it was trending on Twitter that they asked for them to remove the Cherokee name. Jeep. They asked Jeep to remove the Cherokee name, and people were like, or sorry, they said that they did it to honor the Cherokee Nation, and it's like, first of all, to honor the Cherokee Nation in what way? Unless y'all got Cherokee people there who like founded the company or something, like it's so weird. But this is also the country where we celebrate Cinco de Mayo, but they had people in cages and they had this whole sort of like thing about building a wall that some people are probably still for. And then somebody was like, oh, like we're not going to do that, like next thing you know we're going to be getting rid of the Apache this and this and that, and it's like I don't know. It's interesting, like minority politics, I guess. And it's something that it came into my experience or my awareness a long time ago that like there are certain minorities that it's not that they necessarily have it better or easier necessarily per se, but we've reached the point where it's like or we had reached the point before the last 4 years of America, um where you wouldn't so openly sort of like bash certain minority groups, right? It's like we have um a whole bunch of Native American themed things, but we don't like with African American people or even with Asian people, really, right? Especially when it comes to like team names and things of that nature, like sports teams. I remember here, um, so I live in Illinois, and one of the college towns, UIUC, they're like it's the Fighting Illini, and they used to have the chief was the mascot for the football team or whatever. And there was a thing a long time ago about the like removing the chief as the mascot and having something else be the mascot. And there are people like, oh, it's history, it's tradition. Like, why would we do that? And blah blah blah. And I don't know, like I care about people. And so my default is to tend to listen to the people that's like, hey, like I don't like it. It's like kind of sort of offensive or rude or whatever. More so than I'm like, oh, well, I'm not gonna change this because it's been this way for however long it's been that way. And I guess it's one of the platforms of the victorious to come in and completely destroy and dispossess and then name things after them in honor. And it's like, well, what honor is there in that? I don't get it. And Texas is pretty conservative in a lot of ways. One of my friends went to Texas. She's back now. Hey, Mimi. So today I am tearing pages off of my calendar and I'm just going with it. So March 3rd, broad smile. Aw. The 143-mile wide Galley crater on Mars has ridges that form a smiling face, earning it the nickname of Happy Face Crater. What? Oh, I see it now. Hello, Happy Face. I was talking about the planets earlier today. Oh, I was literally just talking about Mars. I was like, let's see what Miles has been in. Miles. Let's see what Mars has been in. I'm doing pretty good. I'm taking it easy today. What? Do you need to hydrate or some food? Or hopefully you start feeling better. I'm doing all right today. I've um I've got some confirmations about certain things, and it's not that I'm being spat out, but um it's just like, all those little worries and concerns you had, all those little reasons why you were like staying where you are. Well, I'm quickly running out of reasons to be here, which is fine because I'm ready to go, honestly. Um, but it's just a bunch of stuff that I already knew. So it's just that time. But here's a smiley face Mars. I like smiley face Mars. Mars gets a bad rap. Every time somebody mad or angry, it's always like Mars is doing this or Mars is doing that. And maybe it is. But Mars is more than just like anger and rage and fury. Mars is also a very passionate lover, I guess. I don't know. Mars is in the business of breaking backs, if you know what I mean. You might need a chiropractor. Thank you. I mean, it's nothing to really you know, it's not nothing really concerning. It's just the next natural step in my progression. It's something that I've been gearing up for and something that I've been knowing is coming anyway for a minute. So I've been preparing for it steadily. That's what, yeah. The majority of your chart aspects are in Mars and aspects to Mars. I only have one aspect to Mars, or my sun only has one aspect. My Mars and my sun trine. Because I have something in Capricorn, but that's like mid Capricorn. My Mars is early. What about my Mars is in Cancer? My Sun is early that. My Pluto was late Scorpio. My Mercury is late Pisces. It's like mid to late Capricorn. I don't think my Mars has that many aspects. My Sun and my Mars is like there's them two. They ride or die. It's on my. It's I think it's close to my IC maybe. Hold up, I gotta check now. There's the Sun. Oh, so it does square my Venus and my Jupiter. I forgot about that. Yeah, it squares my Venus and Jupiter, and then my Venus and Jupiter square my Capricorn placements because they're a lot closer. But my Capricorn placements are further away from my Mars placement, so I don't have a grand fixed cross, but I do have a grand a big old square in cardinal signs. Oh snap! I love blue storm energy, or just blue energy, blue anything. But I'm blue clan. So that was Rose. That was Mars. Mars is in the smiley face energy. And one of my best friends came back. I've been seeing her. And I was like, I should message her. But I wasn't messaging her. But I did. And I'm like, girl, how you been? And she's like, hey. I'm like, oh my gosh. We met in like sixth grade, I think. Was it art class or keyboarding? I don't know. It was a while ago. But I'm glad to have her back. And so today, Primrose, March 4th. Primrose comes from the Middle English word primrose, meaning first rose. Many species flower in late winter or early spring. We have that late winter, early spring where we get the primrose, and then we have the March hackham. And again, well, one is like what, Old English? No, they're both Middle English. So here's the Middle English stuff. Here's just random Texas, and then we got Mars. Makes you want to watch the Hunger Games. My mama was talking about watching the Hunger Games. She was talking about the dome. I'm like, the dome? What are you talking about? She's like, the dome. And she's like, you ain't never watched Hunger Games? I'm like, no, I've never had an interest in Hunger Games. And she was like, you need to watch it. I was like, I'm good. But yeah, I didn't know what she was talking about. She told me, but I'm like, yeah, I ain't never seen that movie. Prime Rose is the first rose. Primrose. Why is this about Primrose? I think Primrose is the name of the dancer on. What is that? Oh, it would have to be Octopath Traveler. So from the Middle English, we have annoyance and we have the first rose. Something about this. No, wait, I already did Mars. I feel like there's something else, but I don't know what it is. I feel like I almost had a thought, or like there was something that I was talking about, but I stopped talking about it like mid thought. I don't know. Prime was Katniss's sister's name, named after Primrose. Yeah, I know, because I've seen enough of other things to know that like Primrose had gotten chosen, but Katniss volunteered so that she wouldn't have to go or something like that, and then they overthrow the government or something. I don't know. Primrose. That's Prue. I was like, why did that make me think of Prudence? Maybe there's a fifth sister, Primrose Halliwell. I'll get a card for that. Let me get one of these for this. I'll take this one. I guess it's like two. What are these? Destruction and trust. Oof. Destruction and trust. That's an interesting energy. Trust is first, destruction is later. Well, that reminds me, the Bible says warning comes before destruction. That's what my mom used to always say. It also, earlier today, at some point, I think it was today, I was talking about the Five of Swords, I think, and how it's this energy of us needing to trust. Or maybe I was talking about the Tower. Us needing to trust what lies beyond the destruction and to not waver on our path. Basically, trusting that if it's falling apart for good reason. Or maybe I was talking yesterday at the end of one of the videos about when you trust someone, when a situation occurs, you don't automatically jump to like the worst case scenario. And if something is falling apart, you just made Greek salad. I haven't made it to salad yet. I still don't eat salads. But with those emojis, it looks yummy. But the energy of the primrose, though, it says many species flower in late winter or early spring. So I don't think like whatever it is that you're giving up or whatever it is that's going to fall, I don't think it's necessarily going to be like in a state of destruction for long or it's going to rebloom. It takes me back to the perennials. It said if a perennial or if the frost basically displaces your perennials, wait for them to thaw and then gently push them back into place. Thank you. I see. It's because I'm that person that people are always like, it ain't that deep. You can find anything in anything. That's how I think we miss a lot of spirit or the universe by dismissing certain things. But there is an energy here of like it's gonna grow back, it's gonna blood, it's gonna flower. Blood, it's gonna blood. What? It's gonna grow back, it's gonna bloom, it's gonna bud before the season is even over or really early into the next season. Bottom of the deck is strength. Okay, yeah. So you gotta let it go. Well, you gotta let it go. Whatever this is, you have to have the strength to give it up. You have to have the strength to go without. And it goes back to that Five of Swords. The Five of Swords energy now, it carries an energy of strength. It carries an energy of the Wheel of Fortune, but it's moving the Wheel of Fortune. It's a Wheel of Fortune that doesn't move itself. And it carries a tower energy because you're trying to fix the wheel to move in a different direction. And it's like the tower energy is a result of basically you setting the wheel of fortune on a different path. It's the resistance. But once you realign it, it's like it works out much better than you would have thought had you not done it. You know what? So I'm going to pull 4 cards in the space of that angel spread real quick because that came out earlier today. And with that primrose and with that annoyance, that hackened energy, it's interesting because I don't even necessarily know if it's the divine, but there's like a clockwork energy. The Wheel of Fortune is one of the many gears in this clock. It's a clockwork energy. You want a different outcome, and you're not satisfied with letting things just kind of sort of play out because right now the South Node is in Jupiter, South Node is in Sagittarius. So that time of like temperance and just waiting for things to happen, it's like over. Or that time of like pretending like nothing has changed, that's also over. The seeker, okay. Because if nothing happens, nothing changes. But you're already where you are and treating it like it's not a problem. And it's like, why is our solution to so many things to just act like it's not happening? it seems. Or it's like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about this, so back to business as usual. If your plumbing or if your electricity goes out, you call a plumber or an electrician. An electrician. You don't keep running. I mean, you can keep turning the knobs and flushing the toilet, but if you have a plumbing issue, then nothing's going to happen. If you have an electrical issue, you can keep flipping the light switch, but it's not going to get any brighter. But it's like when it comes to life, our solution is to just keep turning handles and keep flipping switches. And that energy doesn't really work. It doesn't get us where we're going. So I want 4 cards. Card number 1. I should get that one deck that's like, oh, it's all intuitive. But I think that deck got words on it. Okay. There is a deck that I really want. It's in the GoFundMe stage. I think it's about to come out of the GoFundMe stage. And I kind of want to get it. I think I might get it. I've been thinking about it. I've been toying with the idea of getting it. But there's some other things that I want. But maybe those things I could wait for. There was something I said I was going to get. I feel like I got to get the thing I said I was going to get because I said I was going to get it. And I made a commitment to Mother Gaia to get it. So I ain't going to do her like that. Okay. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to give this 2 more. 1 more. Last one. And we'll just pick. Okay. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba. This is 1. Oh, oof. Nah, I'm putting y'all back. I'll do one of these though. If anybody want to come out. And 1 more. I probably should have took them, but it's fine. 2. Maybe the energy will stick around. 3 and 4. Bottom of the deck is get creative. I love this. Get creative for me. If this is going to go how I think it's going, get creative. It's about, there's this energy. I'm talking about the Wheel of Fortune. I'm talking about the resistance to getting the wheel to move in a way that it naturally doesn't move, which is the Tower. It's like something that's set along a track, and we're trying to set it on a different track. But we have to build the track. We have to do like everything. Hopefully we do that stuff before we try to move the Wheel of Fortune, because if you move the Wheel of Fortune off of its primary track and you don't have a track to put it on, then you just broke it. And it's not going to work. So you built the track and then you move the wheel, and that's the energy of the 5 of Pentacles, or the 5 of Swords. I have this out in the angel spread sort of formation. But with get creative, it's this energy of coming into your own creative power by virtue of the space that you hold. So in position number 1, it's the universe. Oh, snap. So there's an energy with the universe. It's not even the world, it's the universe. Y'all see that? The universe. With the energy of the universe, it feels like maybe, I don't want to say you've bitten off more than you can chew, but more than you can chew. No, I lost my train of thought. What's backing this? Reflect. Okay. What's opposing this? Okay. That's funny. So backing the universe is reflect. In this spread, this is us basically challenging the divine in some way. With the universe here, though, Either that's us biting off more than we can chew, or that's us really thinking that we could have did a better job when we designed this thing. And reflect, I feel like there's an energy of like us looking back on our pasts, and it's like, oh well, like I could have did this and I could have did that, and I like, I wish I wouldn't have experienced this. I wish I wouldn't have gone through that. And it's us. Honestly, it feels like it's a little bit of an energy here of not really realizing how everything is interconnected. And if you remove the cause, there would be no effect. If you remove the stimulus, there would be no reaction. So it's really easy to say that you could have learned something in a different way or that you could have done without a certain experience. But without having lived life, not having that experience, who's to say that that's the case? Now, opposing this is the revolutionary. This is interesting, though, because you would think that the revolutionary is on this side and that the universe would be on the other side. It's almost like there's some change that you wish to manifest in your world, in your reality, or there's something that you're doing, but you're met with resistance. Get wild. Oh gosh. Okay. I don't really like this, honestly. This feels like a little bit of of a regressive energy, honestly. So this is how the story is kind of sort of playing out. The story is kind of sort of playing out as like, you go on your spiritual or religious, whatever trip, journey, experience where you do some work. And then, there are certain instances in your past that you have a certain perspective or opinion of. And so you come into a space where you think that you can not cultivate, what's the word? Curate, where you can curate your own experience a lot better. And so you challenge the divine in ways that become increasingly, I don't want to say obstinate, but it's like when you know that the divine is pushing you to do something, but you refuse to do it. And then you try to get creative and going about, what is that? It's manifest. Manifest is under get creative. You try to get creative and go about doing things in a different way. As you're doing that, it feels like there's some resistance that you're being met with this revolutionary on the divine side. Now, usually, I guess the weight of was this an endeavor worth doing or not is the result. The result is get wild. Get wild is feeling like something that has a lack of order. It feels chaotic. It feels lawless. It feels like a veritable no man's land. Because again, it's like the structure, the system is a lot more. It's a lot more intricate than we think, and we have all of these loose threads. Only two of the threads are actually connected, and it carries an energy of like us trying to assemble something, and we have all these extra wires that we're not using, but every wire is supposed to be used. And it's like, what does that do? Oh, I don't know. We'll just leave it unplugged. And then it like blows up in your face. Yeah, that's why I don't like this one. And even the ones that are connected, they're only connected on a surface level. They don't penetrate to the core of what this is. If you can, yeah, they don't penetrate to the core. It's a very surface level understanding. But with this reflection, we're in a space where we think we really got it, where we think we really know, where we think we're over something or something like that. That's not the case. And the divine is like, okay, if you don't want it, you don't have to have it. Live life as you will. And then, but at the end of the day, it all falls apart. Again, because there are things that sort of like aren't accounted for. You're supposed to use all of these. They have a purpose. I don't know if it's like a safety measure, but things are infinitely more complicated than we think they are. I'm gonna pull this deck to clarify these. I want 2 cards for each one. Yeah, that's not where I thought that would necessarily go. I'll just use this deck. I'm using the Journeyman edition of the Weaver Tarot to clarify. I'm going to pull 2 cards for each space. It's an energy that misses the reasoning behind things happening. It bypasses. It's like it tries to skip steps, but it doesn't even understand the fundamentals. It's like follow it step by step until you understand the basics, because there are certain things, laws, cosmic or otherwise, that you're going to violate in your pursuit of whatever it is that you're asking for, that you're looking for, that you're creating. And without taking those into account, it's something that's doomed to fail. Okay. So for the universe, I'm going to give it 3 more, and then I'll take the card on the top and bottom. Okay. Or I'll take that one. Thank you. I'll still pick the card on the top and the bottom. So for reflection or reflects, 3 more, 2 more. Oh, okay. Top and bottom. For get wild, 3, 2, 1. All right. These cards they just like me. I can't be mad at the cards and not be mad at myself. They procrastinate. It's like they don't say nothing until like, oh, I'm gonna give it 3 shuffles and then I'll just pick a card because ain't nothing jumping out. Then all of a sudden everything would have jump out. And it's like you could have just did that the first time. I'm gonna use the Ascendant edition for the space of spirit, the divine, or the universe on the other side. See, this is like Hierophant energy really doesn't do anybody any favors, or Hierophant energy hasn't done anyone any favors. Is this? Okay, there we go. I was like, excuse me? So for the revolutionary, let's see. All right, I'll give it 3 more. 2 more. 1 more. All right. I thought I was actually going to go the full 3 shuffles that time, but I did not. Let's see. So the universe. Now I want to start with what made us think we can do better. The 3 of Wands. The 3 of Wands came out first. This is the card that actually fell out. And then after this came out, I just took the top and bottom of the deck. The 3 of Wands, like maybe we manifested a little bit of something. Maybe we felt ourselves on the path. I think we acted a little prematurely. The cards that came out, it's the 5 of Swords and the Ace of Swords. But with this 5 of Swords and Ace of Swords, 6 of Swords, it feels like we had an incomplete understanding. We were extremely combative, a little bit rude, in like really thinking we knew better. There's an energy of like really thinking we knew better in some way, shape, form, or fashion. and we thought we would get away with something. There's an energy of haughtiness, of arrogance here. But in this Five of Swords, like the lungs are punctured, the heart is pierced. I don't know. It was hurt. It was hurt. And that's understandable. So, from a space of pain, more than anything, came the challenge. So, the universe is clarified by the Two of Swords, the Hermit, and the Three of Coins. And again, it's carrying this energy of not utilizing everything. With the Two of Swords and the Three of Coins and the Hermit in between, it's an energy of like not seeing eye to eye, trying to work together, but it's not in a truly collaborative manner because it's reserved. You can't be reserved and be in the Three of Pentacles energy at the same time. The Three of Pentacles requires everyone to participate. Threes require participation. And so it's an energy, it builds something, but it doesn't see the impending fall. It doesn't see the tower about to come and knock it down. It really thinks it's doing something. And then for Get Wild, four cards came out. The Sun and the Sovereign of Cups with the Nine of Coins and the Seeker of Cups. This is interesting. There's an energy of subjugation here between the Nine of Coins and the Sovereign of Cups. So it wouldn't necessarily. The Sovereign of Cups is the energy of the Queen of Cups. It's an all upright deck, but she feels dark. She feels jaded because of what happened to her emotionally. Again, her heart isn't open. It reminds me of Regina from Once Upon a Time. And it's this energy of like becoming the villain. Because on the outside is the Seeker of Cups and the Sun, but at the heart is the Nine of Pentacles with the Queen of Cups. Like the Nine of Pentacles is an energy that's too self focused for that to be like an upright, like upstanding Queen of Cups energy, Sovereign of Cups energy. Because the Sovereign of Cups is an energy that, I mean, in its shadow, it can care too much for others and not enough for itself. But it's an energy that's others focused. But with the Nine of Coins, it doesn't see outside of itself. Now the Divine is countering in the Revolutionary energy with the Three of Swords, the Sovereign of Wands, and the Six of Cups. There's an energy here of like clipped wings. This is an ego check. And there's something locked behind a wall of love. Like the Six of Cups in this deck, it's something that it's like it involves divine timing with the clock. But what's separating the clock and these two cups from the other four is the wall of roses, and roses symbolize love. it's a little, I don't want to say like petty, but with the Queen of Wands in the middle, it carries an energy of like the divine will let you go so far. I mean, you're gonna go as far as you can go utilizing like whatever you utilize, but eventually you're gonna hit a wall. That wall requires love for self and others. But in the result, with the Nine of Pentacles into the Sovereign of Cups, this is a love only for self. It feels like there's an energy of like the divine playing along to a certain degree, to a certain extent, but eventually you're going to hit that wall. I want to lay four more on top of this. Oh gosh. Bottom of the deck now is transmute. Transmute tells me that this too is part of the journey. So, don't get whatever. So, in position one, on top of the universe now is get creative. Now, get creative. Again, it was holding that energy of trying to find a workaround before. Now, it's an energy of just like kind of sort of creating in general. Again, with that universe, but it's creating on a grander scale. What's backing it before it was reflect. Now it's ascension. So, again, there's a little bit of haughtiness. Okay, Mimi. There's a little bit of haughtiness here. And in this card of ascension, you see the on the pinky and on the thumb, really. You can see those threads there. It's not really free. Even on the wings, there are little threads hanging off of the wings. It's almost giving me a harpy energy because of the talons and the wings. And you're countered, spirit is countering with the ancestors. Spirit countering with the ancestors it gives it a little bit of a past mistake type of energy, like you've made this mistake before, or someone in your line has made this mistake before, where they thought that they could create for themselves and disregard everyone else. And what it leads to, it was get wild before, now it's withdraw. Withdrawal carries the energy of a setback. It carries an energy of isolation. It carries an energy of going back to the drawing board. But again, with transmute at the bottom of the deck this time, it's like it's all a part of the process. That's not where I expected that to go. But it reminds me, I said a while ago, I think the way I go about, I don't want to say it's like necessarily unique. I think the way I go about my journey is a little different though, because at the same time I'm like trying to ascend, I'm also trying to ground and I'm trying to earth. And it feels like a lot of times when we have this journey of ascension, we get so high only for us to have to fall back down because there are things that we forget. Maybe ego comes into play in some way and we have to be reminded of something. And it's something that can get more and more and more esoteric, but it isn't necessarily practical. There's no earthing or foundation for that. And so then what happens is you end up on a descending journey, or you end up with this tower moment where you get knocked down and then you have to build back up again. And it feels like maybe there have been repeated towers, and like you kind of sort of like, I'm over these towers, I'm over getting knocked down. I'm gonna do it different this time. I'm only gonna go up. But what it does is it's like it almost puts you in an energy and position to miss everything or to misinterpret. And it reminds me too, it's like there are some people, some spiritual people that you can listen to and hear their pain. And that's like that reflect and ascension energy. It feels like one that's primarily driven by pain that's unhealed and unresolved. Seeker of Swords at the bottom of the deck. But when you're coming from that space of hurt, it gets you to, again, it goes back to that, like, we are the chosen ones manifesting some kind of arc, but the arc is really titanic because it's not an isolated experience. It's not separate. But there will be those who, spirituality, religion, it's a means to further their own personal gain or empire or to build their ego in some way. But the Nine of Pentacles in a space of water, it's empty. And it's not even like, it doesn't even feel like they're heavy pentacles. It feels like they're hollow. And so that it leaves like the entire depths of the water unexplored because they bob at the surface. Like there's more to the world and there's more to life than what you can get out of people or what you can get out of life. But it's something that we learn, I guess. I don't know. Wow, that just came and just completely. I'm like, wow. Not that I was necessarily on a high. But again, it kind of sort of goes back to that Martian energy and how if we have a certain perspective of it, or if we treat it as if it's always the same, there are so many more things that Mars can be, so many more things that Mars can do that we never give it the opportunity to. It's being locked in. It's not fluid or flexible. And in that way, it's stagnant. Because the earth itself will only give you a certain level of understanding. But water itself will only give you a certain level of understanding. You have to use all of the elements together to get a more complete picture. And the earth it's the realm of the devil anyway. Right? That's why Capricorn is the devil. Anything that comes out of earth, anything that you experience in earth that becomes your foundation, that binds or ties you to this earth, it's all devil energy. And even the Hierophant, because the shadow of the Hierophant is the devil again. The Hierophant in its light is all the angels and stuff, but the Hierophant in its shadow is all the devils and demons that come in, direct opposition to all the angels. And then with Virgo being the Hermit, it's just an energy. It's like shadow side of Virgo energy. It's something that paints over, something that washes over, something that hides, something that does its best to remove the appearance of impurities, but it doesn't do anything to actually solve any of the issues. It just makes it look nice. Oh, I don't know. I should have just left these cards in bags. Well, there's trust. We'll get it. Right. I got reversals in this deck now. Hold up. Or is trust the only card in reverse? I think trust is the only card in reverse. But all of that, it's a lack of trust. Whenever you think you can do something better, whenever you think that you've gone something and you didn't get anything out of it, or that you were better off without Yeah, trust was the only card in reverse. Oof, I don't know. All right, well, I'm gonna get some final cards from these. I'm gonna ask for a positive. No, I'm not. Because if it ain't positive, then it ain't. This is a channel of spiritual accountability. We hold ourselves, or I hold people to be accountable. We hold ourselves to be accountable and to be considerate of more than just ourselves. Because a lot of people can talk of consideration, but they don't necessarily show it. And my mom was on the phone the other day, and she was talking about how some people will like demand or expect certain things from other people or in relationships, but they don't turn around and give the exact same thing that they ask for. Like if it's patience, if it's understanding, if it's trust or the truth, but then they themselves are impatient. They don't care enough to see where the other person is coming from, and all they do is lie. But like, you're asking me to be patient, you're asking me to trust you, and like, wait. And so it's an energy of us coming into a space where, what is it? You get what you give? Where we need to give what it is that we wish to get. Bottom of the deck is the Explorer. I've read the Explorer. The Explorer came out for full moon in Pisces, didn't it? In the space of where we currently are. Unbalanced Explorer energy was the one. I'll read it. Run up at the book. I'll read the Explorer. I gotta go to the bathroom. I've been drinking too many liquids apparently. But I'm gonna go after this. There's the Revolutionary. Here's the Paradox. Ascension, the Creator. The Explorer. Here it is. Tiny font. Oh. Okay, there we go. Let me get this card. Under the Explorer is Shadow. The Explorer the Explorer calls you out of your routine and into a rhythm with your deepest self and all that is around you. When people think explorer or explore, sometimes they conjure up images of grand traveling expeditions. And while travel can be illuminating and profound, do not fool yourself into thinking that the experiences you need are out of your reach. Do not fool yourself into thinking that the experiences that you need you haven't yet experienced either. Explore on your own by doing new things and projects. Explore your current environment, even if it's just taking a different route on your way to work. The explorer calls for a shakeup of the typical and ordinary. A balanced explorer is driven by a need for freedom and to learn about the world around them. They do not like to be bound by society's expectations. Instead, they prefer that their external world reflects their internal world of mystery and curiosity. An explorer out of balance can have some ungroundedness and instability. Those that struggle being present with themselves may become addicted to constantly moving and going new places, doing new things, and meeting new people. Explorers may also have a tendency to refuse to sacrifice their freedom in the immediate, risking their ability to survive slash hold for their future, build for their future. Sorry. It's like, oh, there we go. It's right in the crease. Slash build for the future. Example, not getting a steady job because they want to travel, only to find themselves in debt years later and are then forced to sacrifice their freedom so they can survive. If this resonates with you, consider spending more time in solitude with no distractions. Allow for stillness in what needs to be unearthed within you. And for some reason, I was just thinking about how we had such the opportunity for stillness and introspection and all of these things because, coronavirus had shut a lot of stuff down. Oh, look, there's the sage. It was the shadow earlier. I'll just put that back there. But I don't know how many of us actually took that opportunity to fully do that self exploration. Maybe in the beginning a little bit, but I don't know. It was like there was an outcry for a distraction. I don't know if it was ever necessarily easy to sit with ourselves and to sit with our lives and to own up to the choices and decisions that we made. A lot of Netflix, a lot of eating, a lot of whatever. And it was an opportunity again to slow down. But, we got creative and we found other ways to distract ourselves. And so the reason why I bring that up, because with that explorer, it's again, there's a lack of an ability to do what needs to be done in the moment. It doesn't sacrifice. Unbalanced explorer energy won't sacrifice in the moment because of freedom. But because it doesn't do what it needs to do in the moment, it pays a much, much, much higher price later. And that's kind of sort of this energy here too. Again, it's like there's a purpose behind a lot of things. Trust was the only card in the deck in reverse. And it's like if you're gonna challenge the divine or if you're gonna do better, it's like it I think it would be difficult to do better coming from a space of like some kind of hurt or pain. But it's hurt and pain that motivate us the most to question the divine in the first place. But if it's already happened, you can't necessarily undo it. Anyway, the cards that came out are I see the void up top. And we was just talking about the blue storm wave spell. Oh snap, the blue storm wave spell. It's the year of the blue cosmic storm or the blue lunar storm. Yeah, blue storm wave spell. Oof. Here's the void. Oh, I love this. Here's the void. Here's the warrior. Get wild again with versatility. The void, the warrior, get wild, and versatility. I think that versatility is what Get Wild was missing the first time it came out. Get Wild and versatility. It speaks of like alternate ways to who said oh, okay, that's what that's what it was. I was like, I heard that lately. Where did I hear that? I was like, was that my mom? No, it wasn't my mom. Um, Finding healthier coping mechanisms. Get wild and versatility. It's finding ways to not sacrifice your freedom while also still doing what it is that you need to do or being in a space to. And again, with the void and the warrior, now this is like true creativity. This is like the five of swords spread that I just did in the light of its energy. This is an energy that will have created the track before it tried to displace the wheel. Because if you displace the wheel without a track, it's gonna be it's like, when you spin a quarter and then eventually it goes flat because it can't keep the momentum, or it's just not gonna have any direction. And this is the one who rises from the shadows. Because the warrior has risen from the shadows, they now hold the power of the void. And the power of the void is the power of manifestation and creation. Everything is born in the darkness. We're born in the womb, or we get cut open, or she get cut open and we get pulled out. Either way, you're born in the darkness and then you come into the light. And when you die, you return to the dark. We're so attached to our lights and things now. Again, it goes back to that energy of like we're more afraid of the dark than we are comforted by the light. And so if something is going to make something too dark, we run from it. Well, if you want to be in the presence of light, it's gonna come with a shadow. You're gonna cast the shadow, and your shadow is gonna get larger the closer to the source of the light you get. But this is the one who's handled that and who's risen as, I don't know why Void Mage just popped into my mind, but it's not a Void Mage because it's a warrior. That demiurge energy that's in the Four of Wands. This is the one that can actually shape and can actually contribute, because this is the one that understands that sometimes that setback, that disappointment, that like sometimes things not working out is a part of the, like that's a part of the process, and it can't be removed or taken out. Those are some of the chords that we left sort of like dangling. And it's like, well, you need all of those to get this to work. And it's like, oh no, we don't need those. We're good with just these. We don't want to do anything. Everything is a hoax. It's not real. And then you end up worse off. It's the one that trusts. It's all built upon trust. And I think when you've really healed from something, you can appreciate the things that you've gone through. Now, I'm not going to be like, I haven't experienced like levels of trauma that have led to me forming some kind of debilitating, well, I could say that, but I lived that point in my life where I had debilitating like depression and anxiety that kept me in college like way longer than I needed to be there. It ain't like I was dumb. Like I knew this stuff. That's why I was able to complete it in the way that I did. But until we heal from those, we don't see what we get on the other side of it. And when you make it out on the other side, there are certain things that you discover you only have because you went through it in the first place. And so if you try to remove that and continue forward, it's like it takes all the substance out of life. It makes the pinnacles hollow and then they float and bob to the surface. And without any weight, they just, I don't know, it don't work. Or maybe it do work. I ain't gonna say it ain't gonna work, but I don't know. It gets weird or interesting. That's a whole bunch of cards. Who is this? The Ace of Wands came out. I see the Hermit right here. I was just talking about the Hermit with Temperance, the Two of Wands, the Ten of Swords, the Tower, the Five of Cups, and the Nine of Wands. Was there a single good card in this? I don't think so. The Ace of Wands is that spark, is that idea. It's like you really thinking that you're going to do something. Maybe there was a little bit of healing with that Temperance energy. Maybe there was a little bit of exploration with the depths with that Hermit, but it led us to immediately the Two of Wands. Now, the Two of Wands, if it came out by itself, I'd say, oh, yeah, that's great. Even it coming out after the Ace, what it feels like it did, though, it feels like it introduced confusion. Like that one reading I did, the Sun, the Moon, and the Stars. Was it in that one? No. It's when I did it on maybe it was on the other channel. I don't, it was somewhere. There was a Five of Wands energy. No, I just randomly pulled like five cards on the other channel. There was a Five of Wands energy and an Ace of Cups that led to the Six of Wands. And it was this energy of like, if you put any more fire into the situation, it's just going to cause like a forest fire. You're not going to reach victory. You're not going to reach a resolution if you add more fire to the situation. What this did after the little bit of healing between Temperance and the Hermit, it added more fire to the situation that then led to the Tower, the Ten of Swords, the Nine of Wands, and the Five of Cups. And again, it comes from a very surface level understanding. And that surface level understanding comes with the disregard of everything else. The bottom of the deck is the Lovers. This Lover's energy, it's kind of sort of like the Six of Swords. what you put into it is what you get out of it. And if you don't feed a relationship healthy things, you're not going to get a healthy relationship. That was a lot of cards, though, so I'm not going to take all those. If you're not present, and again, it also goes back to that be willing to give what it is that you're asking for. Because if you're not, it's not going to work. Or it may not work. I don't want to say it's not. I don't like speaking in absolutes. And I think it's really counterintuitive on those more surface levels. And it's a lot more temperamental. It's a lot of like, wait for this and wait for that. And at this time, you can do this and don't do this in that time. And I don't know. It's like if you look at the way that a lot of people talk about retrogrades, I don't see any difference between astrology and any other hierophant telling you what you can do, when you can do it, what you can't do. Here's the light of something, there's the shadow of something. You can do this and that, but don't go there because it's dark there. I think spirituality, in a lot of ways, some brands of spirituality, in a lot of ways, try so hard not to be religion or not to uphold the same structures, but they kind of sort of do. Justice, which is something balancing out. Bottom of the deck is the Two of Swords. Two of Swords can be Two of Swords can be minor High Priestess energy, where the Queen of Cups is pre-High Priestess energy. In this deck, it's closer to Justice. Well, they do say that Justice is blind, don't they? Because there are these two moons, like those two, and then those two on the opposite sides of the scale. I think this is a balance between light and dark, between what you do in the light and what you do in the dark, between your actions and your intentions. There's almost a little bit of an eclipse energy because it's moving the light and the dark into the same space or putting them on the same level. And justice, you're seeing beyond the duality. And the Two of Swords, that's the ceiling. Like the two moons are above the third eye in the Two of Swords. And justice, the third eye is above the two moons. But with this blindfold here, you don't necessarily see that lack of alignment. And it reminds me of the entry for Samikiel in the Angelarium Oracle of Emanations, whose blade cuts both ways, and if you call down Samikiel in vain, then it'll fall back upon you 3 times fold. We all feel justified in some way, shape, form, or fashion, but we're not as quick to recognize and accept how we kind of sort of slight others. And there are certain energies that I wouldn't play with. I mean, I don't. That's why I just stick in my own little sandbox of energy. I may reach out here or there, but I ain't going too far from my little sandbox. Y'all see what happened when I tried to use the incense? Then I was sick for days. Well, that's because I smoked myself out, but still. And it, like I had literally one day said, like, I don't even use incense or whatever. I have them, but I don't use them. Next day, let me try to use some incense. Day after that, can't breathe, all congested up, nose and throat burning. Why was I talking about that? I don't remember. I don't remember why I brought that up. I don't remember. And that's not to say that like don't nobody use incense. It's just like I know it works for me. So I stay in my own little sandbox. Now, if there's something that piques my interest that I resonate to, that's within the realm or my wheelhouse, then, I go closer to it to see if it works out. But I think when you're just beginning, it can be really easy to jump like all in. How we spite people. Why was I talking about incense though? I don't know. That train left the station. I don't think it's coming back. I don't think it's coming back. I'm a fill in the blanks kind of reader because I forget. I was like, oh well, I guess I said enough. But yeah, that's one thing that it's so like when people have that like you're a star seed if you've never fit in and you've never done this and you've never done that, and so people start to develop this image or they start to manifest these things or they start to want to come into it's like the way that they go about things. You can see their pain, you can feel it. Like if you go to the extreme, I don't know. It's maybe I feel like anybody could. And when you're well, maybe not anybody, because I don't know. Maybe it's another one of those things that I'm just sensitive to. I'm sensitive to things that will fail because I can see sometimes the again. It's like I can see how the talking and the actions don't align, or how they do, but how they don't accommodate for other occurrences that are very likely to happen. And like there are some times when you can just like hear somebody's pain. You can feel it in the way that they go about their lives. And I remember one time I was talking to one of my buddies, and I listen to people too. And it's interesting because he was in one place when I first met him. He was in a place that he didn't like. He was like, back where I used to be, it was better. Then he moved. He didn't like where he was before. And he was like, back where I used to be, it was better. But when he was where he used to be, which is where we met, he was talking about the place that he used to be in. So then he moved again. And he's still like always finding something to complain about, ain't never satisfied. And then one day, I asked him a question and he was like, wow, you making all of these assumptions based off of what I post on the internet or blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, no, first of all, I feel like you wouldn't be upset if it wasn't true. You wouldn't be this upset if it wasn't true. Second of all, like I've literally talked to you and you literally told me this. But what you're saying right now is what you said after you left where you were when I met you, which is the exact same thing you were saying when you were in the place that I met you in. Now, I don't know where you were before that, but it's not obvious, but it kind of is. You can just hear pain. You can feel it, and it shapes so much of how we live our day-to-day lives. And healing is about putting us in a position where we're no longer not doing this or not doing that because of what was in the past. Here's the Seeker of Swords. The Seeker of Swords was at the bottom of the deck. On the other deck, wasn't it? This one just came out. Bottom of the deck is the Ace of Cups. And I love this energy. Because sometimes when you're seeking the truth, when you're seeking insight, knowledge, or awareness, it leads you to the heart. Because it almost calls upon your ability to recognize it, accept it, and integrate it into your body of knowledge, just as you would any other kind of connection or person. So that's what I got. I don't know. I feel like it's only counterintuitive when you're not in a position to move beyond. And again, I think a lot of times we can mistake the voice of fear, the voice of anxiety, or the voice of depression as our discernment or intuition. But like 9 times out of 10, your intuition is probably going to tell you to grow. It's probably going to tell you to heal. It's probably going to tell you to mature or to grow up. It's probably going to tell you to do the thing that scares you because that's where everything you want is. If that isn't where it was, you would already have everything you want. But the voice of fear, anxiety, and depression and everything else, it tells us what we want to hear in that moment. Oh, don't trust them. Oh, don't go there because it's not going to work out. Oh, like I wouldn't do that. Like, oh, you're not good enough for that. It may not flat out say that you're not good enough for that, but with the basis of that, it may be like, maybe that wouldn't work out. Maybe you should pursue something that's a little bit more likely to actually happen for somebody like you. It may not say somebody like you, but there's like 9 times out of 10, the divine is going to tell you to grow. Your intuition is going to tell you to grow, and your discernment is going to lead you in that direction. But what can you do? I don't know. We're coming to the end of one astrological year. It was the year of the coronavirus, especially in America. It started right before Aries season, or the lockdown started like literally right before Aries season. It was like mid March. Now we're coming up into like another Aries season. Where the sun at? We got to be halfway through the decade. I'm gonna read the cross that we're in right now because I'm interested. And there may be quite a few of us just taking baggage into this new astrological year because we don't take advantage of the opportunities to actually work through it or to drop it off somewhere. And if you don't work through it, then of course you continue to carry it. But as someone who wants better for the collective, and like who really wants better for the collective, it's stuff that we gotta stop procrastinating on. It's stuff that we have to actually start to address and to actually work through and heal. Because that's the only way forward. The moon just entered Sagittarius. Mars just entered Gemini. Mars is with the North Node, the moon is on the South Node, which is interesting because Mars is like ready. Mars has been in the space of preparation for doing what it needs to do to get us to move forward when it's conjuncting the North Node. It stayed extra long in Aries just to make sure it was ready. Everything that it was doing in Aries, it's going to be sextiling now that it's in Gemini. But it's not going to be making any return trips because it's not going to retrograde in Gemini. I don't believe it's going to retrograde in Gemini. Let me check before I just say that. Come on, there we go. Yeah, in 7 weeks it's going to be in Cancer, so it's not going to retrograde in Gemini. So everything that it had the opportunity to do and redo and do again in Aries, we're going to be sextiling that. It's creating that, like that was the foundation that creates the opportunity for what we're going to be coming into doing now. We're entering a new astrological year with Mars conjuncting the North Node. Now, by the time, let me see, let's go to March 20th, March 21st. I just want to see where everything is. So the moon is going to be in Cancer. So the moon is going to be squaring the sun, roughly. Maybe not. It might be in Gemini. Let's see. I'm going to look at the exact time. So March 20th at 4:30 a.m. At 4:30 a.m. We're moving into Aries season. Okay. 4:30 a.m. Central, U.S. So I'll go to 4:31 then. Where is the moon? So the moon is actually going to be in Gemini. The moon is going to be conjuncting the North Node. Mars is going to be conjuncting the North Node when the sun transits into Aries. Uranus still in Taurus. Saturn and Jupiter still in Aquarius. Pluto still in Capricorn. And then Mercury, Neptune, and Venus are all going to be in Pisces. Mercury, Neptune, and Venus in Pisces is interesting. And your new year, March 21st. I don't know when the new year is anymore because it's. I don't know if any of these New Years. New Year last year, it felt like September 1st. September 1st felt like it was new. March felt new last year. I think it was March. I think I woke up March 1st last year. I was like, oh, I felt something new. And then everything shut down. um, but September felt like a new year. This year, I think March 1st kind of sort of had the same New Year ish feeling. Maybe. I don't remember. But let's see. So Mars and the moon are both going to be like within 4 degrees of the North Node in Gemini as we slide into Aries season. And Sagittarius is going to be, I mean, Juno is in Sagittarius, but, not to say that Juno ain't a planet, but was her marriage even like that great? No. She had to punish other women for her husband taking them, basically, but she couldn't do anything against him. So she would punish them. And they're like one girl was locked up in a tower so that she wouldn't get pregnant. And Zeus entered the tower in the form of a golden shower and impregnated her. I think that was Perseus's mom. I think. Maybe it wasn't Perseus. Because I think a father, got a prophecy. I think he was a king too. Got a prophecy that his grandson would kill him. It could have been Oedipus, because Oedipus killed his father and married his mother without realizing it. I don't think it was Oedipus. And so the father didn't want to die, so locked his daughter up so she wouldn't get pregnant. Daughter still got pregnant because Zeus was impregnating everybody. Zeus was turning into golden showers, turning into what was a swan. He impregnated somebody as a swan. I don't think it was a bull. I think actually somebody got impregnated by like a bull or a cow. Zeus was changing into all kinds of things and getting people pregnant. But Juno couldn't do anything against him, so she did the one thing that she could do, which was punish the mortals who did nothing wrong, besides be there for Zeus to just take. Anyway, I'm sorry. South Node, let's not do that anymore. Let's hold our partners accountable and not the other people. Right? Or something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm going way off the mark. So right now, the sun is 14 degrees in Pisces. So the sun is actually it's moving in to square the nodes at 15 degrees. Virgo has Vesta at 14 degrees. Oh, the sun is opposing Vesta right now. Okay. But I'm going to see 14 to 15 degrees in the cross. Vesta is like the flame or the fire, like the Vestal virgins who are responsible for keeping the flame of Rome alive. I think they were priestesses of Athena. Not Athena, Artemis. I think they were priestesses of Artemis. But Artemis is the Greek name. Diana is no, Juno is Hera. Is Diana Artemis? Hold up. One second. I need to know. Priestesses of Vesta. Pfft, that makes sense. Priestesses of Vesta, goddess of the hearth. These individuals cultivated the sacred fire that was not allowed to go out. Anyway, back to the cross and zodiac. I don't know what today was. Today was just a whole bunch of rambling. Your Vesta is in Gemini. My Vesta is in. I don't remember. Let's see. Where my Vesta? Where my Juno at? Where's my Juno? I want to see how Juno is this aspect of my Venus. We all live life. We all have our own journey. We all get where we're gonna be in our own time. That's all I gotta say. Let's see. My Juno is in Cancer. My Juno is like 6 degrees away from my Mars. So my Juno in Cancer. No, so my Juno is far enough from my Venus that it doesn't oppose it. Yes, I do. The one was it the one with the water and the fire spirits, or a different one? My Vesta is in Capricorn. Oh my gosh. So my Uranus, Neptune, Midheaven, and Vesta are all in Capricorn. That means I got a stellium. Oh, but one was specifically anointed to not let the eternal flame go out. Did it go out when she got with the water dude? There goes my ear. My Carius is in Pisces. Sun Carius, Black Moon Lilith. Okay, anyway, back to 14 to 15 degrees of Pisces. What's that? Hello, excuse me? There's 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 13, 13 to 14, 14 to 15. Gemini is two Dutch children talking. Virgo is an ornamental handkerchief. Sagittarius is the groundhog looking for its shadow. Pisces is an officer preparing to drill his men. What's up with Piscean energy this year? Like, I don't feel like Pisces at all. Maybe it do, but I mean Pisces being the energy of the 12th house, being the energy that's connected most to the divine or the underworld or the spirit world or whatever. They say it's the divine. Maybe Scorpio is the one closest to the underworld. I don't know. It's not like it went out, but one of the other fairies sacrificed herself to be with the flame, so the original one could go off with the fire prince. Aw, that's sweet, right? I mean, she must have cared about that dude, or she must have cared about, yeah. Pisces is it's in a space of like kind of sort of knowing what's next and being like, man, they are not prepared, or maybe they are prepared. It's time to get prepared. I don't know. I have to check it out one of these days. I kind of stopped. I've just been playing video games. Gemini's two Dutch children share a common language and culture and understand each other on at least two levels. In Elsie Wheeler's time, Dutch immigration to the USA. Oh, we're talking about the Dutch. That's interesting. Because when I was talking about the Yukon territory, and I was like, I think there was like a port in Canada, or like the Dutch established something in Canada. Okay, so here's a thread. I'm not, completely rambling for no reason. Gemini's two Dutch children share a common language and culture and understand each other on at least those two levels. In Elsie Wheeler's time, Dutch immigration to the USA followed European immigration patterns according to economic prospects. The stereotypes of the Dutch were that they were exceptionally clannish, valuing property, small business, and conservative values. Note that the stereotypes were generally favorable. In talking, the Dutch children affirm each other, therefore the self. Virgo's ornamental handkerchief describes an item of clothing, originally for wiping or mopping sweat or tears or mucus from noses, now elevated to a decorative item such as a pocket square. Sagittarius's groundhog looks for its shadow, yet to find it due to being close to the ground and due to being close to the ground and unable to see beneath itself or under itself, or perhaps the sun is overhead and casts a small shadow. Sagittarius' symbol opposes Virgo's spotless elevated status because the groundhog actively looking for shadows metaphor the dark side and perceived flaws. Pisces' symbol describes the effort to appear as correct as possible. The officer, after training and discipline, is now in charge of drilling men. Their performance is a reflection on the officer, so she/he is motivated to drill them into a perfect performance. Putting the symbols together, the Dutch children represent acceptance of the self, needed for self worth, Virgo, and in that safe space, attempt improvement by looking for shadows of the psyche, Sagittarius, and conduct the work needed for this improvement, Pisces. This cross provides an answer to the shadow side of the previous 13 or 14 degrees Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces cross in-house secret keeping. Crosses in-house secret keeping. Um, this cross describes a migrated community that keeps close, Gemini, and works together to be proud, though practical, Virgo, of their community and society. They maintain their self image by keeping watch over themselves for any issue, Sagittarius, and maintaining disciplined conformity, Pisces. One example is the desire to maintain the rich migrant culture and language, though or through the children, despite the competing culture and language of the new homeland. The shadow side of the cross occurs when Sagittarius's groundhog never finds its shadow. The Dutch children represent a type of echo chamber, providing a self referential validation in an insular communication space, creating vanity, Virgo, watchful of any threat, Sagittarius and Pisces military, to the image, Virgo, of the family/slash community. The obvious threat would be the corrupting influence of the adoptive homeland's culture and language projected onto the children who must be drilled into the old proper ways, Pisces. Sagittarius's vigilance and Pisces' strictness as an expression of fear creates the shadow Sagittarius, resonant with the social ills in the 11 to 12 cross. That was a lot. That was a lot. Either it was good or it was bad. You got to find the shadow, but you don't want to be too much in the shadow. There's an energy of conformity. So the sun is holding the space of conformity. Um, it's talking about echo chambers. It's talking about holding on to your language and custom, maintaining yourself as an individual while you're also a part of a whole bunch of stuff that ain't necessarily you, how beneficial it isn't to be completely isolated and separate from that which is around you. I got to go to the bathroom. I can't focus. Well, it reminds me of what I was talking about earlier, as far as, being in that echo chamber of light where it leaves those places that needed a light sort of lightless because you didn't do whatever you could have done in that space. Um, I don't know. I'm not interested in telling people how to live their lives, honestly. Um, but there's a almost impracticality, I guess, of I don't want to say like spiritual extremism, but I guess it kind of is. I'd say spiritual extremism is one that would seek to invalidate the physical, earthly, material experience, or that would seek to invalidate the world around you. Because while the world around you is in some ways a reflection of you and your internal state, it's more than just that. And as we're not having like, excuse me, a completely individualized experience, it's important to take others into consideration. And I think you really do reach the point where not everything you experience is you. Maybe that's your primary experience until, just like the groundhog, you learn to see your own shadow. But after you learn to see your own shadow, you don't really need it to play out in other people. So you open yourself up to meeting individuals. And we're always meeting individuals, but it's less of a mirrored type of sort of dynamic. I think the mirrors are really useful when you don't see, when you can't find that shadow within you. And again, like going back to what I was talking about earlier about like like you get so high until you have to descend back down to the earth and you have to ground everything. Um, excuse me. That's why I just say learn to accept paradox. Because I think if you learn to accept paradox, you can both ascend and descend. You can have this journey of ascension while simultaneously grounding and integrating the things that you're learning. And so the more you do it and the better you get at it, it lessens your cycles of repetition where you need to be reminded of something that you forgot or whatever. That's why my word for 2020 was integrate. Embrace and integrate were two of my words. I forgot what the third one was. But embrace and integrate were two of my words for 2020 because I was realizing like there were things that I would learn in my journey, but then I'd like somewhat forget or something. So then I'd go through another lesson of like that was related to something that I had already experienced. I was like, oh, and I would talk to my journey buddy, one of my best friends, and she was like, Patrick, like you already know this, like you've already been through this. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. I did. So I was like, you know what? I'm tired of doing that. So that's why I made integrate one of my words. It was like, if I integrate it, I won't forget it. I'm actually grounding it in my day to day life or whatever to the point where it's like, I don't need the universe or spirit to continue to remind me of something that I already know. And what it does is it not necessarily shortcuts your path, but it keeps you from manifesting refresher courses because you've integrated it within you. There's a lot to integrate. Excuse me. Now I'm ready to go to bed. There's a lot of stuff to integrate because we're continuously healing. But at a certain point, it's like certain things start to build off of each other. And so by holding on to the larger thing or by integrating the larger thing, you're automatically integrating those prerequisitional pieces, those what's the those predecessorial energies. I don't know, my brain doesn't do words right now anymore. um where is Mercury in Pisces yet? Can I blame Mercury yet? I don't need to blame Mercury. Even though it it does feel good sometimes to blame somebody else or something else. That's just how my brain works. But my Mercury is natally retrograde in Pisces anyway, so you know. I think a lot of times we can see stuff as hypocrisy, or we can see it as accepting the paradox. We're all fools in this journey of life. Anyway, I then lost my train of thought, didn't I? I went too far. I went too far and lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Sometimes in life, the journey, integration. When you're integrating, I got it back. When you're integrating, it's like you're assembling things using certain building blocks, and then you integrate that assembled thing so it inherently contains all the building blocks. But I think there are sometimes it's like there's so much information available now. We kind of sort of shortcut learning. And so we try to integrate these massive things without understanding the fundamentals or without understanding the energy that built it. And so it makes it harder to utilize in everyday life. It makes it harder to have that sort of practical knowing of it. And it's the practical knowing that really aids in integration because it's like, oh, like if you use it, you retain it. I don't know. Take it as it resonates for you or don't. It's your life. You have free will and free choice. You can do whatever you want to do. And while you're doing whatever you want to do, you can also take those consequences that comes as a direct result of your actions because you got to do that too. And I don't know, it kind of blow my mind a little bit. Like to be a creator, you got to take consequence and you have to take repercussion because that's the result of your actions, right? Like when you're manifesting something, the manifestation is the consequence of your actions and of your thought. So if you don't accept the negative consequences, it's like I don't know if there's like a partial acceptance of consequence that like happens where you only get the rewards but you don't get any of the other stuff. And ultimately it just teaches you to like, hey, maybe I shouldn't do this next time. I don't know. I'm gonna go. It's been almost 2 hours. I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make that what you wish to experience your reality. Because if you don't do it, ain't nobody else gonna do it. I hope that, and if you are acting in alignment to make what you wish to experience your reality, I hope you're doing it in a way that preserves. Oh, that's the other thing about having that baseline um, foundation before you try to integrate a bigger piece. Because if you don't try to if you try to integrate the bigger pieces first without knowing the foundation, it puts you in that energy that was on the table that was like weird and that I didn't like. Where it's like, oh, I've done my reflection, I know how the universe works, so now I'm gonna do this. And the divine is like, well, here's the revolutionary. Oh, we got another one. They think they enlightened. They think that they done it. They think they done reached nirvana. Okay, we'll do it. And then the resulting energy is like get wild, it's chaotic and lawless, and there's no structure or order to anything. But when you have that baseline foundation again, it comes with a certain inherent knowing. And without it, you don't see the benefit in the things like that. You have all these wires that aren't connected, and then your result is weird and wonky, and it's not what you wanted it to be. I don't know. All right. Bye. It was nice chatting with you, Mimi. See y'all maybe tomorrow, maybe not. I don't know.